Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about walking away. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, what do you think would be the best time to walk away? Is 3 years of experience as a software developer a good time to shop around? Due to having different tech stacks being used by different projects, I feel as if I do not possess the needed experience to be an intermediary level developer in any of the tech stacks I have experienced. In a different phrasing, when can you say that your market value has increased compared to when you were a junior? Well, that is a very good question, but it's also a very tricky question to answer because the thing is, um, you know that your market value has gone up from being a junior to a more experienced software developer, usually by measuring a few key factors. Well, the first factor is, okay, how many years have you spent? Well, if you've been working for 3 years, then you're definitely more experienced than you were when you were a junior. So you've already increased your market value. By how much is hard to say, but you have. For sure, like just the fact that you have 3 years of work experience is in of itself something that is hopefully going to show you that there are people showing an interest in your profile, or that you might get callbacks from jobs that you're applying for and so forth. But as for the the second thing, this is where it gets tricky for me, because if you've been working on many different stacks, well, having 3 years of work experience is great, but if you haven't had the chance to mature your core coding skills, and let's say that you're not really all that good with any of those languages that you've been working in, or the frameworks or so forth, uh, then your market value has gone up just because the fact, you know something for sure. How much and how valuable that is very, very hard for me to answer, and because it depends on where you are in your skills, and it also depends on what the people that your next job, like what they're going to be looking for, because they are looking for different types of people with different levels of experience and skills and so forth. The only way you can really figure out what your market value is in an objective fashion would be to apply for jobs. But I would say that if you've been working for 3 years, I definitely think that you should give it a go, for sure. It's That's more than enough time for you to have. On average, a software developer spends 2 to 4 years in the same company before moving on, and that's the average. So, and I will even go as far as to say that anything like uh, if you're at a year or more, that's usually I'm not saying that you have to stay for a full year, but even something as simple as 6 months is going to give you something. A year plus is, of course, better, and the longer you stay, like up to a certain point, of course, is very useful to you in terms of building up your value, because what your employer is really concerned with is, well, of course, your skill levels and so forth, but they also want to make sure that you have a proven track record of being a good investment for the company. So if you're job hopping every other week, or like, I'm not, that's kind of extreme, but I hope that you understand me when I say that if you are consistently on your CV just doing very, very short uh, amounts of work, maybe just a few months, unless you're working on projects. If you are doing like freelance work, this is completely normal. But if you leave like product companies, or you jump around too frequently, that might be a source of concern for a future employer. But what you've explained to me, I think, is very much in line with what the story of most developers. I don't think that you should be worried that it's not a good time for you to shop around. And if you have a job right now, I think that it's well worth your time to take a look at other opportunities if that is what you want to do. So what I want you to take away from this is that there's no real rule that states when you've increased your value. your market value is very much usually it's measured in years, and also skills, like because the years is just an indicator. If you have 10 years of experience but you're not really good at coding, doesn't really matter that you have 10 years because you're not good at coding. And unfortunately, the other way can be true many times as well. You might be the best junior developer who ever lived, but you're not. You may just have you have too few years of experience on paper, which might be a problem for you if you wanted to get paid a lot, or let's say that you're actually worth more money than you're being paid. It might be hard to swing. So I would say that those two values together, your years of experience and your actual skill, the more in line or more in sync they can be, I mean, the better, the more the higher your market value is going to be. And that market value continues climbing to a certain point, and then you're going to have to take responsibilities and do social things, leadership type of related things, and so forth, to increase it even further. But I don't think that you should be afraid to look around after 3 years of work, even if you feel a little bit unsure what your value is, or that you're not really as good as you might think that you are, because you unfortunately have no real way to determine that until you try it out with a few interviews, and then you will know. So I suggest that that's what you do. But 3 years of experience should be enough for you to see some fairly serious interest in your CV. Have a great day.